The long-awaited day in the Amgen Tour of California has arrived for Chris Horner. He leads the race by 38 seconds, but today he scales the dizzy heights of Mount Baldy, 6,444 feet. We'll see all of the action next on Versus. The Battle of the Solvang Time Trial saw Californian Dave Zabriskie take the stage in record time. But Amgen Tour of California leader Chris Horner took no chances as he rode a perfect race to hold on to his overall lead. But Horner has seen his big time gap eroded as he heads now into stage 7 and the toughest day ever experienced since the race began back in 2006. Mount Baldy stands at over 6,400 feet and the finish line awaits to welcome only the strongest. Will it be Horner, Levi Leipheimer or someone else who pulls on the last leader's jersey in this year's Amgen Tour of California? All will be revealed on Versus next. It all starts innocently enough in Claremont, California, but the riders will finish the day at the high spot of not just this year's Amgen Tour of California, but in any of the 6 editions. We're going right to the top of Mount Baldy, 6,444 feet, and that is 1,000 feet higher than the mythical Alpe d'Huez in the Tour de France. The barren slope today could well reveal the winner of this tour when we finish in 1,000 Oaks tomorrow. Hello everybody, Phil Liggett alongside me is Paul Sherwin, and today's Stage 7 sponsored by Nissan. Paul, this is the big one. Ever since they announced the route, this is the one that struck fear into the riders. It certainly is. In fact, I have to offer an apology because the other day I made a serious mistake. I called Sierra Road a mountaintop finish. This is a mountaintop finish. Driving up here, it took us an hour in the car to get to the top of this mountain. We are going to see a massive battle today. It is true, and in fact all of the cyclists have been testing it out all day today, and as you can see, the weather is absolutely glorious. It is a big test though, of course, for Chris Horner. He leads this race now by 38 seconds, Paul. It was by 1:15 till yesterday's time trial. Now can he do it as we look at the Michelob Ultra overall standings? Horner's had 17 hours and 17 minutes in the saddle. 38 seconds is all he's got over his teammate Leipheimer. Rory Sutherland, the Australian who rides here for the American United Healthcare team, at 1:38. Christian van der Velde and Tommy D are 2 other Americans who could challenge. Further down, from 10th up to 6th yesterday, came TJ Van Garderen. He might go even higher by the end of this day. Andy Schleck completes the top 10, and he'll light the mountain today. Looking further down, Peter Sagan, the Liquigas rider, he's the best young rider in the race. Dave Zabriskie, who won yesterday, he came in at 15th overall. So that's how it stands today, Paul. This is a route that if you can't climb mountains, there really isn't much point in starting the day, is it? Well, a lot of riders today will be on survival mode because, in fact, of the stage, the 75 miles of the stage, probably 60 to 70% is uphill. This is where the riders leave from this morning. Claremont, as you said, a rather innocent start and straight onto Mount Baldy Road, up Glendora Ridge Road as well. It's a circuitous route and very treacherous on some of the descents. But what this race is going to be all about, Phil, after we've gone through Glendora, up Glendora Mountain, it's then the big final ascent up to the top of Mount Baldy, and that is going to be a real humdinger. Well, there's no doubt the television commentators and the spectators will enjoy today. One can't say the same perhaps for some of the riders, because the Glendora Road itself is certainly not flat as we pierce nearly 4,500 feet, but look towards the end here as we make our way steadily up to 6,400 plus feet. Well, that's the situation. Let's have a look at the Rabobank, checking the stats. 131 riders on the start line this morning. Some have already given up. 3 King of the Mountains, 1 sprint along the way. And yes, do they need reminding? This is the first time the Amgen Tour of California has ever finished atop Mount Baldy. Well, we'll bring you all of the action here on Versus. The riders are already on the way towards us. It is a glorious summer sunny day. We'll see you in just a moment. And welcome back. Look at these beautiful pictures today. We're going mountaineering in the Amgen Tour of California, a total distance of 75.6 miles. All of the action will come towards the end today. It is a beautiful day here in California. Memories of Lake Tahoe and the snow now a long way behind us. 67 at the moment. It'll go higher than that. 3 miles per hour, very light winds. Forecast is going to get hotter, and all of these lovely pictures will come to you and are available in high definition. Well, let's have a look, first of all, how life began back down in Claremont at the start today. This is the Herbalife sign-in, and there is the man in the lead. He's becoming a very popular leader, Chris Horner. Yes, his lead has come down from 1:15 to 38 seconds, but it's on his teammate, Levi Leipheimer. These two will go out with a double-edged attack today in mind. And there is the other half. That was Levi Leipheimer heading off as well. Huge day for the man that lives here in California, albeit a little further north now. Quite a long way from his home, actually, in Santa Rosa. So the riders going to their destiny, and yes, right at the top there is where we're going today. Believe it or not, the leader in the California Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains is Pat McCarty of Spider Tech. Hajidal is second after his great riding on the Sierra Road. Talansky is up there in third place. And we're looking here now at the situation overall. 29 points to McCarty, 17 to Anthony. Leipheimer is in third place in the Herbalife sprint competition. And Franco Bellotti won the sprint just moments ago ahead of rider Hajidal and Andrew Talansky. And yes, the men that matter in the King of the Mountains competition are in the breakaway just now. Peter Sagan is leading the Herbalife competition overall because you score that points also at the finish. All right, let's remind ourselves then of this 8-man breakaway. It got away after about 7 miles today, and the peloton thinning out even so, or just down there. This is the route. First of all, we've been over the second category on the left. We've done the sprint and the feeding station. We've got one second category, but really it's a stepping stone which continues right up to the finishing line at Mount Baldy. Those are what's left in the peloton. 1 or 2 riders have given up today. At 1:45, Paul, these boys have never allowed that breakaway to go. It's become a very personal battle in the breakaway, really, between Andrew Talansky, rider Hajidal, and Pat McCarty, because they're the premier players in the Californian Tourism King of the Mountains competition. But that's why they're out front. They're not expecting to stay out front, and in fact this peloton of strong riders is not letting them go very far ahead either.
No, they've kept them pretty much marked. The tactic of Team Radio Shack is as it was really, Phil, on the day of Sierra Road. It was to set the tempo, not let the breakaway get too far off the front end of the main field, and then launch the assaults once we get to the steep part of Mount Baldy. And I'm sure Andy Schleck in the back of his mind there is thinking this is a good day for him. And I wonder if he actually took it easy in the individual time trial yesterday to give him a little bit of freedom, because he's dropped down in the overall standings.
I think he did. He lost a lot of time in the time trial. I think he turned off in the time trial, and that was the end of his ambitions for overall. So he thought, well, why throw all my energy into a race I'm not going to win in the time trial? I think we will see Andy Schleck today give himself a real thorough testing for the upcoming Tour de France. I believe he will go out on the attack on Mount Baldy. They've had to rethink all of the tactics, how to handle this Radio Shack team, which is spearheaded by 2 of the elder statesmen of the team, yes, but 2 of the best climbers in the world, Levi Leipheimer and Chris Horner. Horner is a perky little chappie who is enjoying his race, and he's getting more and more popular by the day. 38 seconds. I don't believe Leipheimer will attack him, but he will have to go with him, and who wins will depend on how individually strong they are on Mount Baldy, where there is a massive crowd. And I have to say, Paul, it's one of the nicest climbs I've ever seen. The views are stunning.
Absolutely stunning. Perfect day for a bike racer, especially if you're a climber. Not if you're a sprinter, however, because there is going to be a lot of big, massive gaps, I think, at the end of today's stage. This is going to become, I think, one of the iconic stages of the Amgen Tour of California. We always talk about climbs like the Alpe d'Huez, but I think this could very well start to become the Alpe d'Huez of the California Tour.
Wouldn't surprise me in the least. This is Francisco Bellotti at the back here. He's just taken out the hotspot sprint of Herbalife in Glendora. Composition of the breakaway, rider Hajidal, Andrew Talansky, George Hincap has made the move. We're looking at him right now. Bellotti, Grisha Nierman, Alexander Effinkeem, Pat McCartney, the leader in the King of the Mountains, and Rob Britton is also, the Canadian here, is also in this breakaway. on the Bissell team.
Well, of all the breaking news overnight with the declarations of Tyler Hamilton, in fact, on his Twitter site this morning, George Hincapie came out and denied that he'd actually made those comments. So I think that's a story that we're going to have to follow over the next couple of days to find out what the truth it is and where the truth actually lies.
And that news, of course, is that in 60 Minutes on CBS coming up on Sunday, they are saying or Tyler Hamilton is saying that Lance Armstrong, amongst others on the team, did take drugs to win the Tour. Armstrong, of course, has also issued a statement of total denial. Anyway, it's all hearsay and innuendo till somebody comes up with the real facts and somebody makes a final decision. So looking out here, this breakaway has been a useful breakaway. Chris Froome of Sky was in the breakaway. He's dropped back from it, and I suspect he might have been called back by the Sky Racing team here. Ben Swift was also in it initially, and he's fallen back as well. So the breakaway is on, but it's certainly not getting away, and we have this terrific climb to come, and that's going to be on air for at least an hour. We'll take you to a break. Welcome back. We're looking at the riders here with Ben King, the champion of the US, in the second position here, as he tries now to keep his two team leaders in the picture, which is Levi Leipheimer and Chris Horner. These are the dedicated pacemakers. They won't be around when we get to the finishing line, but they're keeping their men in a perfect poised position. The 8 riders in the lead, and the gaps on the right saying plus 227 is the time they've lost to Chris Horner since this race began. And well, getting very close in the case of Hejjedal to recouping all of that lost time. So there'll be a little concern from the bunch very shortly. 2 riders in this breakaway as well from the Garmin-Cervelo team. Well, Garmin-Cervelo, Paul, I wonder if they used Hejjedal, who tried to steal the show on the Sierra Road. It didn't quite fail, but now they've got 2 riders in the breakaway. Just what are they planning now, do you think?
Well, the big idea of them putting men into the breakaway today is to put pressure onto Team Radio Shack. They feel that the only way that they can beat Levi Leipheimer and Chris Horner is to isolate them and get rid of their team, and that's the idea of getting into this breakaway, so that then later on, as we get to the steeper parts of the climb, hopefully for them, Christian van der Velde and Tommy Danielson can take advantage of a weakened Team Radio Shack, which is why they're being forced to do the pacemaking on the front.
This is Ben King, the champion of the US again. He'll defend that championship very shortly as well, because they've changed the dates from September to just not too far ahead of us. And so he won't have been the champion for quite so long as he might have liked. Anyway, there's the face of Chris Horner, not under any pressure. He's absorbed the pressure well. He really, when he gets interviewed every day, he explains everything that goes on the race in such clarity. He's just living his enthusiasm to the full.
And one thing that he didn't know about, though, Phil, was in fact he came to ride and preview Mount Baldy a couple of weeks ago, and he didn't realize it was the day that the organization here had organized the ride of the Tour of California, and it was an ascent of Mount Baldy. So he was surrounded by a lot of amateur cyclists who wanted to ride on that occasion. 2 other guys who actually came to look were the team managers for HTC Hyro, because Alan Piper and Brian Home also came across to ride it.
Yes, and I'm sure they were quite shocked when they saw what they come across to ride. A lot of club cyclists have ridden up the mountain this morning, and now going to see how the top riders can do it when they start work. Well, this is the early morning into mid-afternoon hard work by Ben King for Radio Shack at the front. So as we look at these stunning pictures, this year we have, thanks to Rafa Clothing, a new competition which is for the last rider every day. The Lantern Rouge gets a red cap. So let's see who it was yesterday as Bob Roll talks to Alejandro Barajo.
Alejandro, the time trial is never easy for a sprinter, and you have the distinction of being the Lantern Rouge on yesterday's stage. Run us through your time trial real quick.
Yeah, it's never easy for a sprinter, and it's never easy when you have like 150 miles the day before, and I suffered a lot to stay in the front group, but at the other day I know I have 7 minutes to stay, and I exaggerated a little bit, but I was okay. I was 20 seconds in, so I am happy.
Well, the math is good then, but today better luck on the stage up to Mount Baldy, hopefully.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so. I have a big gruppetto, like 60 riders, like the other day on the climb. So maybe we can make it today too. I wanna be good tomorrow in the last stage.
And a little sprint at the end so you can get out of the Lantern Rouge position, maybe?
Yeah. After yesterday, I was in a good position, but I fly two games to go, so I had bad lucky, but maybe tomorrow.
Okay, best of luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, so he gets to wear a Rafa Clothing red cap when he's having fun downtown LA. Our computer is reporting Barajo has abandoned, but they're calling him Alberto, and Alberto isn't riding the race. So it might be Alejandro, who's already given up today, or it might be his brother Andres. Either way, one of them has given up on the slopes in this warm day today. Tomorrow we have the final stage down at 1,000 Oaks on the outskirts of Los Angeles. A very tough circuit, but nothing with the mountains that come to the end of this one. Well, the leader of the California Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains, having won the first climb of the day, is still Pat McCartney of the Spider Tech team, which is managed by Steve Bauer. We'll tell you more about them after this break.
And as our team progresses and our team makes it to the Pro Tour, we're going to be kind of the pinnacle of Canadian cycling.
These are the men wearing the leaders' jerseys today. The overall race in yellow. Chris Horner on the left. The green Herbalife there is Peter Sagan. For the Mountains, Californian Tourism, that's Pat McCartney, and he's increased his lead in that competition already today. And for the top young rider, TJ Van Garderen got his hands on the Rabobank white jersey for the best rookie yesterday in the time trial. And he also received the Amgen Breakaway from Cancer Award because of his escalation up the overall classification. They gave him the most courageous and aggressive rider prize as well. He climbed from 10th overall up until 6th. And I think we might see something of him today on the last climb up the line. Back down to the action now. It looks like we may have a little breakaway here by Alex Effenkein. He's with the leading group at the moment, and he's decided to accelerate. We're on to the climb of Glendora Mountain Road here. We're only about 24 miles from the finish, but what miles they are. They won't accomplish that in less than an hour, I can assure you. Effenkein might have sensed that the race is closing in on these 8 leaders and decided to give it a shot on his own. So Effenkein on these lovely wide roads, taking out the apexes of the corners. And lovely concrete strips they are too. We are in a fabulous part of the countryside now, I can tell you. This is where the eagles soar and keep a bird's eye view of the riders. That's the peloton, so that in fact that rider who's gone off the front, it can't be Effenkein because he's gone off the front of the bunch rather than the breakaway. So Effenkein is in the breakaway, so it must be one of the other riders on Team Type 1. We'll no doubt get up behind him very shortly. No panic being shown. These are the 2 workhorses here of Team Radio Shack, and it's their job just to keep life under control, keep the breakaways within reach, keep their 2 leaders, Levi Leipheimer, Chris Horner, as rested as can be possible at the center of the pack. Now let's have a look at this. This is the King of the Mountains leader here, Pat McCartney, who's, as I say, won the first climb on the Glendora Road, and that's the first climb we've had. And so as he continues now, that's a good cue for us to tell you a little bit more about the Spider Tech team. So it's our Road ID athlete profile on Team Spider Tech, powered by C10.
In 2011, we reached a new professional status, Continental Professional. As a Canadian group, it's the first ever Continental Professional team. And it gives us the opportunity to do bigger races in Europe and provide opportunity for athletes as true professionals and competing on the world stage.
It's not only just for the team, it's for all of Canadian cycling. It's huge. It's like every junior out there now has a team that they can be prideful of, that they can focus on making it to in the future. And as our team progresses and our team makes it to the Pro Tour, we're going to be kind of the pinnacle of Canadian cycling.
We're setting pretty aggressive goals, so I think over the course of the next couple years, we'd like to be a Pro Tour team.
In Canada, it's a growing sport, and it's something that's really taking off, and people are really getting behind Canadian cyclists. You know, I think a lot of people are getting, excited about our team.
It opens the doors to Europe. It opens the doors to Pro Tour races. It opens the doors to many more opportunities than we had at the continental level.
SpiderTech was developed in an entrepreneurial spirit. Ray Arbisman of SpiderTech, he developed the pre-cut technologies, which allows patterned applications to be applied efficiently and effectively for ease of use. The great thing about the product is it offers pain reduction, rehabilitation, structural support, performance. It's a product that anybody can use.
It comes in pre-cut pieces, and it's pretty much infinitely versatile that way. You can have a taping solution for almost any injury or any part of the body, and it reduces pain, which is probably the most useful factor for a lot of us.
I shattered my kneecap in 2009. I was hit by a car, and people were telling me, oh, it's like, you better give up your career. There's nothing. You're not really going to be able to ride at the pro level again. I went out seeking help, and in my path I found SpiderTech tape. And I started using the tape, and all of a sudden I was riding more, I was lifting more in the gym, I was recovering better. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wait a second, I'm now riding kind of to the level where I think I could get back to being a pro. So the tape helped me get to this team, the tape helped me race again, the tape helped me ride to the top 20 in the Amgen Tour of California last year. It accelerated my rehab beyond everybody else's prediction. So for me personally, it's something that's really important.
Yes, a very progressive team. That's your Road ID athlete profile. Head on over to roadid.com/winner for a chance to win a trip for two to the 2011 Tour de France. And there's one of the SpiderTech boys, Pat McCarthy here, who's done himself no end of good today by winning the first climb on the second category Glendora Ridge Road. He's increasing his lead in the Californian Tourism King of the Mountains. This is Oscar Freire in the bunch. By the way, the guy that made the move, I've got him now, is Alexander Gottfried on the NetApp team, and I'm not too sure whether he's back in the field now, but we'll find out in due course. There's the big field. They continue to hold this breakaway within shooting distance. So tomorrow the IZOD IndyCar Series continues on Versus with Bump Day at the Indy 500 time trials. Remember, before you cross the final finish line or taste the victory, you've got to make the split. The Indy 500 time trials tomorrow continue at noon only on Versus, so enjoy that. Well, these boys are heading towards their biggest rendezvous in the history of this race, and they're getting closer by the minute. They're on the Glendora Mountain Road at the moment, but probably still be on it when we get back. Welcome back. The Amgen Tour of California is on the climb of Glendora Mountain Road at the moment, but also happening today, of course, is the first of the Grand Tours, the Giro d'Italia. I'd like to remind you of that race across the pond, and three-time Tour de France champion Alberto Contador still leading that race. Stage 15 airs tomorrow live at 9 a.m. Eastern on Universal Sports, so check out your local listings. These are the leaders still away: Hejidal, Talansky, Himkapi, Neerman, McCarthy, Bellotti and Efekin. Well, they're about 4.5 kilometers from the summit, of 2.5 miles, as we head up now the second climb of the day, Glendora Mountain Road, and the first climb of the Glendora Ridge Road, taken by the King of the Mountains leader, Pat McCarthy. And there he is, and he's going to have to keep snatching these points, Paul, because I don't think he'll live with the big men who are not just racing for the finish on Mount Baldy, which is an all-category, outside category mountain. They're racing to win the Tour, so he must bag as many points as he can while he can. Well,
I think it's important for him to try and grab maximum points, but looking here at the back end of the main field, Phil, there's a lot of pressure coming onto this main field now. That's Ed King going backwards there from Liquigas Cannondale. A lot of pressure now coming on the front, not only from Team Radio Shack, but now we've started to notice that Leopard Trek have come to the front. That's an indication to me that Andy Schleck thinks that this is a good course for him, and in fact it's the kind of mountain that he would enjoy.
Yes, and I've noticed too the Leopard Trek team are coming to share the pacemaking now with Radio Shack. Now, Paul Sherwin is totally convinced that Andy Schleck is going to do something today and leap away. Well, the first signs are there, Paul.
Well, tactically, they're doing the right thing. Number 61, Peter Sagan. He's a great sprinter. He's won a stage of the Amgen Tour of California so far, but I think he's finding the ascent here of the Glendora Pass just a little bit too difficult for him.
Oh, can you believe the pictures that are coming out of our helicopter cameras today? Beautiful. As we look down, we're going to tell you a little bit more now about our continuing stories of Nissan innovation of cycling. We can check in with Bob Roll now, and can you believe it? He's talking about magnetic water bottles.
When I was a pro, we had a cage, and then we put the bottle in it. But now there's magnetized water bottle cages. This weighs 16 grams. That's half an ounce, or about the same as a safety pin. The magnet lines up by these grooves on the side of the bottle, and it just slides right in. Very easy. It takes just 3 pounds of pressure, about the same to turn a doorknob, but it takes 30 pounds to bounce it out. In the constant march of technology, a brand new step forward.
That might stop them jumping off when you're descending rocky old roads. That's Nissan's Innovation for Endurance Facebook page. You'll find that at facebook.com/innovation for endurance. They always dream up something new in the technology world of cycling. I never cease to be amazed. This is the breakaway now. Average speed today, 23 miles an hour. That is quick, believe me, for the course that these boys have been riding. The gap is pegged at 1:45. They're going nowhere, but they're not being caught either. We're on the climb of the Glendora Mountain Road here. And long, about 2 miles, 1 3/4 miles still to climb here. There's the peloton still being escorted by Radio Shack. Leopard Trekker taking an interest as well. So we'll take a short break and we'll come back in time to see who crosses over the top of the climbs in first place. It should be Pat McCartney. We'll know soon. Radio Shack on the front here of the Amgen Tour of California as the distance is running out, but the hill is still in front. Look at it now. We're approaching towards the top of the Glendora Mountain Road climb, then a small descent before we start the long day on Mount Baldy itself. 3,442 feet we'll be at on this very road in just a few moments' time, with about 17 miles still to go. Well, it's a shame sometimes, Paul, that the riders can't see the terrific views that we see. They're riding on the sort of edge of a precipice here as they dice around these hairpinning bends. The descent of the Glendora Ridge Road earlier on today, after some 18 kilometres, 11 miles in, was extremely tortuous. They flew down it, and most of the breakaway caught up with the cars ahead of them because the cars couldn't descend as quick as the riders.
Well, that's a point on as well. On a lot of these technical descents, the bikes can actually get around the corner faster than the motorbikes. And I've been in many descents in the Tour de France when you've actually heard the muffler of the motorbike actually touching down when they go around these corners. And it's a bit of a scary noise because you think somebody's crashed behind you. Sparks are flying. Just look at this, though. The peloton have got this tempo of this breakaway nailed today. Constantly held at 1 minute and 45 seconds. We can expect to see Pat McCarthy really hurt himself to win the points at the top of this second category climb, because I'm pretty sure they'll sweep up on the steep slopes of Mount Baldy, and he won't be scoring the points at the top of the next one. And it's all categories, so it's maximum points on the last climb of the day. If he can just keep that red jersey on as King of the Mountains by tonight, then he knows that he's got a real chance of winning it tomorrow. That'd be a huge score, actually, for Bauer's Spider Tech team, because it's the first ever Canadian continental professional team. They have real ambitions to develop into a Tour de France squad, and this is a big stepping stone for them. No, it certainly is a big stepping stone, and Steve Bauer has developed that team over the last couple of years, and they're starting to peak into the international circuit. Glendora Ridge Road is a second category climb, and there are 8 points available for the first riders to go over the top. There are 12 points on the finish line, so there's a big number of points available on the finishing line for the rider who wins the stage. Now, Lee Howard is reported to be last man in the peloton at the moment, but that's not a bad position. There's only 50 riders left in that peloton from the 130 plus who rolled out this morning, so he's hanging on in there and getting better in the sprints every day. Two Garmin Cervelo riders are on the left of our picture at the moment, on Andrew Talansky and Ryder Hejidal. Talansky has been in the white jersey, his best young rider. He's making terrific progress on this American top pro tour team. Well, talking about ambassadors to the sport, George Hincapie is going to be 38 years of age at the end of June before he starts his 16th Tour de France. Been a professional since 1994. He hasn't won any races, Phil, for the last couple of seasons. But do you ask how many races he's been instrumental in helping a team to get, because he really is the mastermind behind most of the tactics. Strong man who's passing on his expertise now to Cadel Evans' BMC team. George will ride this year his 16th Tour de France, which will equal the record of the Dutchman Joop Zoetemelk. Although Joop did finish every tour he started, George can't say he's done that. But even so, only 2 guys have ever attempted 16 Tours de France after July this year. Pretty impressive just sitting in the back here. We're looking at the French rider on Team BMC. This is Armel Moinard. He's got the hand up there. He wants the team management to come up alongside and give him some drinks. It's a warm day out there. It's a bit warm at 27 degrees Celsius, but I have to say, Phil, it's made a little bit hotter by the fact that there isn't that much of a breeze as we get towards the summit of these climbs. 1 kilometre to go to the top.
Yes, and Moinard won't worry about the climbs because he was the king of the mountains in the Paris-Nice race last year when he won the 7th stage of that event. So these hills will not disappoint him too much today. But it's so hard to believe we're at a height when we're up at Lake Tahoe in Northern California and into the state of Nevada. All that snow is dumped on us in 2 days. And now here we are heading down towards the southern end of the state. And the snow has long since gone, and it is absolutely beautiful. I don't think anywhere else in the world you will see cycle racing getting better pictures of the scenery around it here. It's a very diverse state, California, just like France itself. As that very small peloton now being led all of the time by the Radio Shack boys, just keeping that breakaway pegged. But the one thing's for sure, Paul, they're not going to spoil the day for McCarthy at the top of the mountain. He's nearly there.
No, he's nearly there. A little bit of snow on the top of the mountains, and that's the high spot around here. Where you from the top there, you can look right down onto the city of the Angels, Los Angeles, down in the valley below. But for one man in that leading breakaway of 8 riders, Phil, it's a very important last kilometre towards the top of this climb, because Pat McCarthy, he really does need to try and get himself the maximum points once again, because then he can start to dream about winning the King of the Mountains classification tomorrow.
The American champion, Ben King, so proud to be wearing that jersey. It's different to anybody else who's on the team because he's the current champion with the Stars and Stripes. And he's a workhorse for the team today, and he's got the top 2 riders in the race on his team for Radio Shack. Heading up towards the summit now. Keep your eye on the rider in the all-red jersey. He's front right at the moment. That's Pat McCarthy. He needs these points, really, because I reckon they'll swoop them up before they get too far up Mount Baldy. He's itching to go. The other boys may sort of say, OK, look, we're not in this competition, we'll let you take it. But you never know.
You never know with a professional cyclist. They think and work things out not only just for today, but for tomorrow as well. McCarthy, he went to the front there, looking around the corner. He's eagerly waiting to see whether he can see the banner that indicates the top of the climb. And then I'm sure we'll see him leap out of the pack. It's not far away.
It's right there. In fact, is what does that say? 200 metres to go, and he's in second wheel here. It looks to me as though possibly Ryder Hesjedal is itching here nearest camera. He's got the perfect launch pad, though. 3rd place. Here he goes, moving steadily. 150 to go. Pat McCarthy has had a great day. He was strong to get into the breakaway, which didn't form easily. It was about the 3rd or 4th serious attack that got clear. He got into it, and now he's won the 2 climbs of the day. He'll be happy with his day's work, that's for sure.
No, certainly that was a good position for him to be in, and it's a good position for Team Spidertech. Not one of the bigger teams here, but a team that is starting to develop under the tutorage of Steve Bauer, and that will give him maximum points and extend his lead in the overall classification. But still going to be a big battle tomorrow.
A little bit of downhill now, not a lot before we start going up again. Now Leopard Trek. Sherwin's convinced that Andy Schleck is going to go as soon as he gets half a shot at it. Well, he sent a man to front to help out with the chase, so he stays in reasonable touch. Well, there we are. That's the sprint for you. A win for Pat McCartney. We'll take another break. Rejoin us in the sun of California. Welcome back. Now, the Epic Cycle presented by Michelob Ultra continues on Versus with the conclusion of the Amgen Tour of California. Tomorrow at 6:30, the riders face their final climbs and sprints as the peloton approaches a circuit finish in Thousand Oaks. The Epic Cycle continues tomorrow, 6:30, right here on Versus. Big showdown tomorrow. Back with the leaders in the peloton as they try to keep that breakaway under control. Now they've gone over the top of the Glendora Mountain Road, and these boys now have come down to a minute. Oh, they're saying 2 minutes now, so in fact they've slowed down a little bit here, probably because of the skirmish with Pat McCartney wanting the points. We've got to find our way through the mountains here. We feel like big bears just searching out the countryside. The road snakes around through the hills here. That's the situation on the result. McCartney, Neerman and Britton. And that's the overall now. So he's building a lovely buffer. Leipheimer, though, in 3rd place with 12 points, 15 for the win. Not a done deal yet, is it? Ben King, nobody can control this youngster, flying down here for Radio Shack, trying to keep up with their own teammate. Well, the enthusiasm of Ben King never fails to please Paul. He just loves to spread that USA Champions jersey on Californian roads. He defends it in Greenboro in not too distant future, and he only won it back in September, I think it was. So it's been a short reign as the champion of the USA, but he's wearing it in the biggest race in the USA. Now it looks as though this is Talansky here waving his hands in the air. He wants a drink. Well, that shouldn't be too long in coming. Got to keep your wits about you though, because the race clearly is on here. They're saying chase 1 at 1 minute. I think that must be still Gottfried stuck in between, and at 2 minutes is the peloton.
Well, what happens in a situation like this, Phil, when you've got a breakaway off the front end of the main field, once you've got at least a 1 minute advantage, then the team cars are allowed to come across that gap and support the riders in the breakaway. And these riders know that, and what they do is they put their hand up, and that's just exactly what the Rabobank rider is doing here. His hand up, then he puts up the bottle to indicate to his team car, come on guys, I'm looking for another drink here, so come up forward and pass me a couple of drinks on board. And you can do that once the race has covered 50 kilometers or 30 miles of racing, and usually you can do that up until 20 kilometers to go.
That was Christian Ehrman there, who nearly got run down by the Nissan official car, but that was an official car. It wasn't the actual car he was trying to signal for the drinks, but that'll be coming shortly. As we go along the top of the ridge here, I guess that's why they call it the Glendora Mountain Ridge Road there, the way it's running over the top. Still working very, very hard. Just look at the face of this now. Now, as we continue on here, tactics will play a big part today because they were well beaten by the Radio Shack boys on this here road. So the Garmin may have changed their tactics. They got 2 in the breakaway. Well, let's have a look what Christian van der Veld's got to say to Bob Rowe.
Christian van der Velde, you start the stage in 4th place overall, but just a handful of seconds off of the podium. 1 second, in fact, out of 3rd place. What's the team's plan for the last climb of today's stage, the Queen stage of the Amgen Tour of California?
Oh, we got a lot of guns, you know, in the bus right now, so we're all raring to go, and it's just great to have a amazing, epic stage like we do here in Mount Baldy. So we're going to go for it. You know, we're not going to leave anything behind. Tomorrow's another day. We don't really care about even tomorrow. I think we really just want the stage win today. It's going to be live on Versus today. I mean, there's nothing better. I mean, we haven't had a stage like this since I think really the Coors Classic, more or less. So I'm excited. I'm really happy that I came back to the United States to race with all my friends again. So it's going to be on today for sure.
3 riders in the top 10 in the overall standings for the Garmin team. What's it going to take to dislodge the 2 Radio Shack riders from the top step of the podium?
It's going to take a lot. Chris Horner's just absolutely flying right now. I think Levi, if we could put pressure on them enough, or Levi needs to work for Chris, then we could definitely take Levi out of the equation. But Chris, you know, he was laughing up Sierra the other day. So I mean, yeah, you never know. I mean, today's a different day. You know, he could have had a rough night last night after the time trial. So, you know, we're going to give it everything we got.
All right, Christian, best of luck.
All right, thanks, man.
And that's Christian van der Velde talking on plans today. That's the capture of the NetApp rider there. Wilfried Gottfried, rather, who's gone back into the field. So we just got the leaders and the bunch now. Yes, so Christian's up for it. There's no doubt about that. He finished 4th in the Tour de France 3 years ago. It's all got to come, as you look at the graphic here, of that last little ascent. It's about 15 miles. It's unbelievable, believe me. And the atmosphere, it's honestly like riding through a Pyrenean mountain. It's stark in contrast to the rest of the climbs we've seen here. So don't forget, cycling fans, head on to AmgenTourDeCalifornia.com. Check out the new Bike Manufacturers Challenge powered by SRAM and witness the behind-the-scenes battle between the constructors of your favorite bikes. Every stage is a fight on the open road to determine whose technologies are smart and tough enough to deliver the 2011 Amgen Tour of Cal. Stop by daily for in-depth tech features and a glance at our leaderboard as we reveal who really makes the world's best racing opponents, wheels, pedals and frames. Just look at that now. They are flying now. They've swept up Gottfried. It's now the bunch versus the 8 leaders. And they're still away as Mount Baldy inches towards us on the other side of the valley. We'll take a break. Welcome back now. It's stage 7 presented by Nissan. We're heading to Mount Baldy. It's right in the distance there. We're really in the high country of California today. We call it the Queen Stage. The one who wins today could be winning the Tour tomorrow. But far right now, we're climbing away from the valleys where we had the sprint there, over the second category climb of Glendora Mountain Road now. And we're heading to the next final challenge of the day, Mount Baldy, and these are the 8 leaders. Well, these boys got away, Paul, 12k into the day today. That's about 7 miles. They thinned out a little bit. I think Ben Swift was in the move originally. He got dropped and then his teammate disappeared, Chris Froome, leaving these 8 to continue the effort. Now, how long can they stay out in front? The peloton are closing in again now. They've got it back from 2 minutes to 1 minute and 20 seconds. They're all going to be getting rather twitchy and rather nervous right now.
This is Dan Bowman going out to the back end of the group. Her riders starting to pop one by one currently as we start to. We haven't even. We're actually, Phil, on the flatter part of the courses. This is the easiest part of the course.
You told me yourself.
We haven't actually started the difficult ascent up to the summit of Mount Baldy, when we'll start to see consistent gradients of around about 10%.
A young Aussie there, Cameron Worth. Well, the way he's looking around, and when he has a problem rather than being dropped, he's been riding very, very well in this race. As we now start to work our way through the fields here and see just who has been dropped from the field. This is the NetApp, one of the riders on NetApp who's going now, and it looks as though it is Alexander Gottfried, the man who was on the attack, has now been dropped by the peloton, who's just swept him up moments ago, in fact, as James Driscoll, who was in our first breakaway on day 1, also now in trouble.
Well, there's going to be more than 1 or 2 riders in trouble once we get to the steeper part of this climb, because once we start to get into the Mount Baldy Road, that's when it really starts to get that very bit grippy, and there's some incredible switchbacks with steep grades in the corner.
Well, the peloton now getting into a very fast tempo and getting smaller and smaller. Now, just to remind you, in case you don't know, the yellow jersey of leader of this race by 38 seconds is Chris Horner. Well, we've heard something of the tactics that are coming from arch rivals Garmin Cervelos, Christian van der Velde. Let's find out now what Bob Roll can extract from Chris Horner.
Both you and yourself and Levi are at the first 2 places in the overall standing, so a couple of cards to play on today's stage, the Queen Stage of the Engine Tour of California.
Absolutely. We got a fantastic team, and Levi just made it a bit easier for us. Yesterday, he opened up the gap between himself and third place, so we got a 1-2 hit that's very strong today. I'd like to see us finish the stage off in the same place so we can take 1 and 2 on the podium on the last day. But if things get tricky, we got a great hand between the both of us to be able to keep the jersey within the team.
You expect some attacks to come from the Garmin squad that's just a few places behind?
Yeah, absolutely. They got nothing to lose. They got a lot of guys that are close. Two, of course, with Tommy D and Christian van der Velde that are close. Those guys aren't going to do anything until we, of course, we hit the last part of Mount Baldy. But the rest of their team, I think, I expect to go fully on the attack. They'll probably try to get, I would imagine, they'll be attacking 2 up going up the climb, because they're going to need at least 2 guys in the group, or they're going to send one guy up and then try to get another guy up to him really close. But this is a hard stage. I did it in training. When you finally drop down off the lip of the mountain and you drop all the way down the lake, it's all headwind there as you come all the way back around. So if we keep our team together, I think we'll have a good run. And certainly Roy Sutherland wants to keep his spot on 3rd on GC. If he has any teammates left at the top of this hill and he wants to keep 3rd, I think he'll ride too. So for a domestic team, third on the podium has got to be huge. So there's going to be a little bit of help out there, and I don't think we're going to be all on our own, unless, of course, we let the break go. That's too big. But starting straight up like this, I don't see anything more than 5-6 guys getting away.
Well, it's been a magical tour for you yourself so far. Just one more hard climb till glory. How do you feel this morning?
I feel fantastic.
All right, Chris, best of luck.
Thanks.
Gosh, does Chris Horner understand bike racing or what? He makes it all sound so simple, doesn't he? What an enthusiast. Anyway, he knows what to expect. Well, Garmin have played the first card. They have got 2 men up the road in this very breakaway, Talansky and Ryder Hagedal. So he's a very shrewd operator, is Chris Horner, and he's reading it right so far. A little bit of a problem here just at the back for BMC's Armel Wanard, the French rider, as he wants another drink. He's getting tired of drinks. Now, this is, I don't think, too surprising to see, but the Californian Tourism King of the Mountains leader, he's got the 2 climbs of the day in the bag. He won both of them. Now he needs to save a little bit for the finish. He knows that breakaway will not survive, so he's falling back to the peloton. And you never know, he might recover enough. Now we've got a rider here. This looks like Michael Creed out there, who is part of the KBS Optum Health team. It is Michael Creed, and I presume he's the most experienced boy in the USA. And I think he's trying to pedal away from the front of the peloton just at the moment. He's trying to tempt somebody to come out to play, perhaps. That's a race referee in the striped shirt on the right. Just trying to catch to see whether we are behind the peloton or in front of it. And I think we're in front of it here. So there's the peloton. So Mike has tried to slip away here. Good for him. He's the only one between the break. Well, he's going to get a vision of the red jersey coming back towards him of Pat McCarty very, very shortly. There's Horner sitting third, sixth man from the front, letting his team do the work along with Andy Schleck's boys contributing to the pace. And the drink in the back pocket, Heimar Zubeldia, once a high rider in the Tour de France, a brilliant bike rider. Strong, he's taking on all the water for the team, and all the team are there at the front doing the work. Now, Chris Carmichael climbed the mountain, by the way, today. Train like a pro without leaving your house. If you don't want to, pick up the Amgen Tour of California training DVD by Carmichael Training Systems. $29.99 at AmgenTourofCaliforniaStore.com or on site at any official merchandise outlet. Don't forget, too, today's special, 35% off all official jerseys. Just go AmgenTourofCaliforniaStore.com and enter the code ATOCJ35. Mike Creed is back in the field. They've jumped on him. The tempo riding is putting him back in his place, and Armel Moignard is going back up to the field. He's dropped back purely for water. He's not troubled by the slopes of California. Former king of the mountains in last year's Paris-Nice stage race. Well, the tempo continues. Chris Horner has now climbed up to fourth place. He trusts no one, does he? We'll take a break. See you in a moment. Welcome back, and this is the way to enjoy the tour of Mount Baldy, the Mid-Globe Ultra VIP area. Oh boy, I'm feeling like lunch already. Look at that. And they're all watching us on television now. I feel I should wave, but they wouldn't see me, would they? As they're waiting now to see just how these magnificent men on the flying machines can get up this mountain. It is a real tough one, believe me. Look at the face on Ben King, still setting the pace there for Radio Shack. The relaxed person right dead center there of Andy Schleck, just riding in the pack. But look at the tempo being lifted up all the time, Paul. Changing of direction in the peloton as the pressure goes on, and this is what happens at the back. They start to go off the back.
Well, Merkel Izizar from Spain here of Radio Shack. He's done his job for the afternoon. He's 92nd in the overall standings. He's slipping away from the top spot. Matty Goss as well dropping back, but that's not too much of a surprise.
No, he did a lot of work, though, Irizar. He is the sacrificial lamb for Radio Shack, along with Ben King. And when you can't do any more, then you fall away, and hopefully somebody else will take over. Matthew Goss there had his ups and downs on this race, and hasn't quite got up for the stage when we expected. Maybe tomorrow. He'll be wondering now if TJ Van Garderen can finish off a great race for them, who's up into sixth place.
Well, Van Garderen put a very good individual time trial in yesterday, Phil, proving that he is going to be a good time tester. He finished third in that time trial, losing 40 seconds to Dave Zabriskie. Now, that's a good reference because Dave Zabriskie is one of the best individual time trialists in the world.
Well, I have to say that this tempo by the breakaway, George Hincapie here, sat on the back at the moment. No longer the red jersey there, Pat McCarty. He's dropped away a little bit. And Ben King, he's still putting his back into this breakaway, even if they have dropped Irizar. Now, you've probably seen that clean bottle running around all over the place. It's quite an clever invention, I have to say. Now, let's learn a little bit more about that from Bob Roll.
When I was a bike racer, water bottles only open from one side, but now they open from both ends. It's one of those inventions where I think to myself, why didn't I think of that? Well, I'm here with Dave Mayer, the inventor of Clean Bottle. Take us through the evolution of this.
Yeah, I'm an amateur cyclist, and I just always had problems cleaning out the bottom of my bottle. Everyone has been there where there's a lot of mold, gunk, you just can't get to the bottom. So one day on a ride, I thought, well, if you just unscrew the bottom of the bottle, then you can actually clean it out. So I did it. It took 3 years, 54 prototypes. We finally got it right. We also have a removable nozzle, so that comes out as well, so you can clean all the gunk out of that.
Well, we came to know the Clean Bottle guy from the Tour de France last summer. You had this giant outfit and I was wondering to myself constantly, how do you run along with all the riders and the crowd without falling down on that giant costume?
Yeah, well, first you got to bike about 8 miles to get to the spot, wait 3 hours, and then you do what we call the clean bottle shuffle, where you don't bend your knees, you just kind of shuffle as fast as you can and hope for the best.
And where can people find this product?
You can get them at all the REIs, and they're in all the performance bikes, or cleanbottle.com, and you can go on, we have a store locator, so you can find your local bike shop to see if they carry them as well.
And you guys will be here at the Amgen Tour of California as well, but you'll have a couple of other guys to run along with you.
Yeah, I recruited a couple buddies of mine on my cycling team. We bought a couple more costumes, so you see us out there cheering on the riders.
All right, well, best of luck, and have a good run on the hills.
Thanks, guys. Ride clean.
Oh boy, the clean bottle. Right, Pat McCartney, oh, sadly being swept up. He's done his job, though. He'll be feeling very happy here as he looks for his other members left in this bunch on the Spider Tech team. Just slipped down now. Whether he make the effort to keep on board, I don't know. Remember that every day in a race like this, there is a time delay based on the winner's time. And if you're not inside that time delay period, it's a percentage, then you are eliminated from the tour. So it's a flat tire for Rubens Battagliati here, riding for Team Type 1. And I heard the riders saying today that they thought that anybody more than 30 minutes behind the winner today would be kicked out of the tour. So you've got to keep on racing even though you've been left behind. And the fast tempo here, and it's all Team Radio Shack and only one Leopard Trek rider bothering to get in the mix here as the train heads towards final rendezvous of Mount Baldy. See you in a minute. As we look from our helicopter here, flying alongside the chase now. They're still chasing 7 riders up front. The gap is just over 1 minute now, and the slopes are still to start. A little bit of a jagged set of undulations now, high in the sky at round about 3,700 feet before we got the big one. Pat McCartney rather is now beginning to slide away, and this is Ben King. Job done along with Irizar now. The race is over for them. They did the job extremely well. They kept that breakaway well within limitations, so now it's time to drop back.
Martin Jangeli going out of the back as well, for a man who did a very good time.
Now that's a surprise. He's high up.
He is very well placed in the overall standings, but it's just an indication now of the pressure that's going on at the front end of the main field. We're now starting to see this climb bite. It really is a nasty climb, and as you said, we're on the undulations before we start to tip up to the 10% gradient.
Yes, and a beautiful twisting road it is, and a very nasty finish at the top as well. It's been really no snow, of course, but they had to regrade the road to get the riders literally right up to the base of the final chairlift up to the top of Mount Baldy, where if you take the chairlift, there is a restaurant up there, and at this time of the year the view must be sensational.
Christian van der Velde moving up to the wheel of Andy Schleck there. Van der Velde looking pretty good over the last couple of days. He rode a fine individual time trial yesterday with a 10th place finish, and he's got himself nicely placed in 4th place overall. He could be looking to breathe down the neck of Rory Sutherland because he's only separated by a single second from the Australian.
Now just slipping backwards now. Bernard Eisel, come on Bernie, grit your teeth for the moment. It'll level out in a few minutes time. 3, 6, still 7 riders in that breakaway. Now I'm going to go back to Bob Roll. Goodness knows this man's packed it all in today. He's looking at the bicycles now, and I think he's going to tell us all about the Scott bikes. Bob.
Aerodynamics have always been a part of time trialing, but now those considerations are also being used in road bikes. I'm here with Adrian Montgomery from Scott Bicycles to take us through Scott's latest aerodynamic road bike.
So this is our new foil. It was developed by Scott Aeroscience. It features FO1 technology. FO1 technology is the theory that a truncated or shortened airfoil acts exactly the same as a normal airfoil, but you get all of the characteristics you like in an all-rounder or a round tube bike. So this is an example of the tube shapes that we're actually truncating or shortening to give the frame a more overall better feel, keep the weight lighter, lateral stiffness up.
And when can we see these bikes in the bike shop and try them out?
So the foil, Your Next Bike, is available June 1.
Not long before you'll see that bike. A beautiful looking machine it was as well. Chris Horner sits here in 4th wheel now. We still have 7 riders in front, but look, the gap is now inside 1 minute, and it's still the hard-working boys from the shack who are controlling this breakaway. Not too far away now. Behind Chris Horner is Andy Schleck. In the middle is Levi Leipheimer. He's locked onto Chris's wheel. These are the two boys now. They know by the end of this day, one of them should win the Tour tomorrow in 1,000 Oaks, but you can never be sure. Now, what's this? This is Johan van Summeren here, the winner of Paris-Roubaix. All proving too quick for him. He's slipping away from this group. It is a real war of attrition on the Glendora Mountain Road now, as we cross this little ridge heading towards the base of Mount Baldy, and then it just gets up and slaps you in your face. It is an absolute brute. So we'll take another break. We'll give you plenty of action on the big climb itself. The boys in that peloton better hang on. It's getting smaller by the mile. The beautiful pictures here of the speeding peloton. Barely 30 riders left in this group as we rejoin stage 7, presented by Nissan, heading towards Mount Baldy. For the moment, we're going downhill there. That's where we are. We'll make that little drop to the foot of the mountain, and then we're going to have a long time climbing it. And it looks about 30 riders in the peloton is all that will get to the base of that mountain together. Just looking at the familiar pedaling style in the breakaway here as they continue. They're holding their own. They've been out front almost since the start today. 12 kilometers in. That's about 7 miles, these boys up front. They've lost a couple, but basically they've been pretty good. But now there's new tactics coming into the plan, and I think the Garmin-Sabella boys in the break are not looking to hold that breakaway anymore now. They've made the Radio Shack boys chase because of the presence of Talansky and of Ryder Hagedal up there. Now they're going to try and save a little bit of energy, perhaps, so they can go with the big moves, which are going to come very soon now.
Nice study here of the neutral service bike there. That guy carries 4 spare wheels on that machine, so he can get close to the bike riders when they have a little bit of a problem.
Can you believe that? 10 kilometers to go, Paul. That's only 6 miles, and it's all a long, hard grind now.
Well, 10 kilometers is probably going to take them, Phil, very close to 35 or 40 minutes on the slopes of this climb, because we're going to get into the 10% gradient part of the course very shortly.
And the road surface not always good because we're coming out of winter, of course. We're going into late spring now, and it's going to be a beautiful, beautiful day at the top. It's still warm, even though they're climbing up to nearly 2,000 meters today.
Oops, so lucky that. Well, 10 kilometers to go for the main field, so that gap now very much down to probably around about 30 seconds.
Yeah.
As still these guys are prepared to do this pacemaking at the front. McCartney in second position there has really survived on a day like this. Rory Sutherland still riding very close to the front end of the main field, just hovering there in 4th or 5th place, and he also, Phil, doesn't look like a rider in any kind of difficulty at all.
Well, I must say Matt Boucher on the front there is doing a great job here. He's proved to be a strong late man at the front for the team. As Chris Horner, I'm sure, will tell us by the finish today, if he's still in that leader's yellow jersey. He's always first to praise his team. So it's Leipheimer and Horner. They are the principal candidates to try and win this Tour today, getting enough time over the rivals that they can't get it back tomorrow around 1,000 Oaks. We're getting into the European continental atmosphere now. You'll see lots of people on the climb coming up. But the climb was closed quite early on today to people who were going up in cars, so they couldn't make it to the top. And they had to get the bikes out the back and face the mountain if they wanted to see the finishing line today.
I think a lot of people were very happy to face the mountain. Many people actually coming out overnight to camp at the side of the road to get themselves an ideal position on this course. We're winding down now. There's a slight descent down to the valley road there below, and then all of a sudden you've got this great big wall in front of you, and right at the top of it is Mount Baldy Ski Resort.
Starts pretty innocently at first. It's a wide boulevard. It's got beautiful views off to your right shoulder across the dams there. Doesn't appear to be too hard, and then it just continues and continues. It narrows down. It goes into the forest here, the pine forest. It goes past these beautiful wooden houses, which I suspect are completely covered in snow in the winter. But they're prime positions to watch the race go by today. So Boucher is on the front. This is Life at the back still as they continue towards the finish.
Well, I tell you what, the other day, Phil, when Chris Horner was talking about Matt Boucher, he said he was phenomenal. This now is the start of the climb.
They've come off the bottom road now. They've made the left turn. This is it now. The boys up front are already starting to stir matters up here. And that's an immediate attack coming from Talansky as soon as they started the climb.
Well, there's no respite from here on in. We're on the steepest part of the climb. We've just gone through the little small town at the bottom of the climb, and it's uphill to the finish. It's 5 miles to go to the top, Phil. 8 kilometers of racing.
So now it's a different ball game now. We're on the last climb of the day. And that was Talansky who started the move. There he is on the right of our picture now. He might regret that. He's going to have to nail himself back onto that bunch quickly. This is Grisha Nierman, who's gone immediately from the breakaway, so he's been dropped as the climb has started. Now you'll see some terrific spectating sights here. Now, could we be climbing Alpe d'Huez or not right now? That looks exactly like it. Now, we're going to have to go for a quick break, but you won't miss any of the action on Mount Baldy. The peloton are also on the climb right now. Here we go. We'll see you back here in just a moment. There's the finish line waiting for us. We're heading that way.
The finish on Baldy is going to be epic.
It's steep. The climbers will be licking their lips.
That wouldn't surprise me if there's 500,000 people there.
Maybe compared to Alpe d'Huez.
Worthy of a Tour de France stage.
You need these iconic moments that people will always remember.
And don't forget either, Mount Baldy Road is an 8.9 average gradient. It's 4.3 miles long. This is our Strava King of the Mountain drop-in from Mount Baldy, and look at it. It's an absolute brute now. It's going to take the riders probably around about 30 minutes, maybe slightly quicker, because these are the best professional riders in the world. Grisha Nierman, though, he's already been dispatched from the breakaway, so the breakaway is beginning to crumble, and we are only on the lower slopes. So Grisha Nierman here, the German rider with his racing jersey fully unzipped, is dropping back very quickly because the shack is about to tow up something like 25 riders. That's all that's left in the peloton now, as the tempo will just go quicker and quicker, and we'll get steeper and steeper.
Dan Martin, number 15 at the back for Team Garmin Cervelo, trying to stay in contact with the main field, but I'm sorry, the pressure is on, the gradient is on. Dan Martin started the day in 22nd position overall, but he's slipping off the back of the pack. Talansky now back in the fold.
Yes, the man that started lifting the pace when they hit this mountain has suddenly stopped racing, and he's fallen back into the pack now, and I don't think he's going to have too much strength to hang on here. Yes, the riders in red and white from Radio Shack don't even give him the courtesy of a glance. Third wheel is Chris Horner. What would you feel like at this moment, Paul, when you're in this situation with Chris Horner or Leipheimer? You know you're going to be attacked. You've got to be nervous.
You've got to be nervous, but you've got to stay calm inside, and the fact that you've still got 2 teammates alongside you to do the pacemaking keeps you nice and relaxed, and also knowing that you've got another teammate who's very close in the overall standings, Levi Leipheimer, who can turn himself into a domestique d'élite if he needs to work for Chris Horner. Horner is probably feeling pretty comfortable as long as the legs are feeling the same way as they have, as they did over the last couple of days.
Well, Alexander Effenkiem as the rider also finding the pace a little bit tough up front. These boys are cutting their own trail through here, and take a look over the shoulders of the front. There's riders being dropped off all of the time here. Horner has moved up into 2nd place. He's ready for whatever they throw at him.
Yep, as we see now, Grisha Nierman going from the front to the back very rapidly indeed. I just noticed that Mathieu Boucher, in fact, has disappeared from the front end of the main field. Job done for the day. Now, what he must do is survive up to the finish. That leaves just 3 riders from Radio Shack in this group, still doing a phenomenal job of work this afternoon. Jason McCartney, but then after that, it's Levi Leipheimer, Chris Horner on their own.
Belotti and Effenkiem down there. Pull back, always a bad sign, as we're seeing the riders left one by one on the road here now. It's sometimes we can't show you the steepness of the grade, but you can see by the way the top riders in the world are cracking one after another. This is a horrible climb. And then this is Talansky here, I think. Still, no, he's Ryder Heyerdahl going back.
Yeah, Heyerdahl, Talansky went back just a few moments ago, and Heyerdahl now knows that if he wants to finish in the top 10, he's got to get onto the front end of that steaming autobus. George Hincapie also getting caught by the group. This is Effenkiem now on his own, Team Type 1. Good move by him. He's always been an extremely good climber.
Well, it's a late attack, but it's a desperation one. He's using what strength he's got left to see if they'll just forget about him. Remember, the battle is inside now. The battle is for the win on time of the whole race. It doesn't matter if Efemkin wins the stage. It's a question of how much time he wins by. So the boys who are going to primarily attack each other will be Chris Horner and Levi Leipheimer. They'll try to go together. And then watch out for people like Rory Sutherland, Christian van der Velde, Tom Danielson, TJ Van Garderen. They're all still here.
They are, but Linus Gerdeman is not here anymore. He's gone out to the back after looking after his teammate Andy Schleck sitting in 4th place. Hincapie's gone off the back of this group. We are now, Phil, starting to see, this is Rob Britton coming back from Bissell. We're seeing now the elite of the bike race here this afternoon.
The breakaway has totally exploded moments after starting the climb of Mount Baldy, and this is the pleasant end of it. It gets a lot harder than this, as we see now Horner sitting second wheel. Leipheimer is on the sharp end, and that breakaway, the relentless pace, is reducing this group to a group of about 6 or 7 riders.
Looking here at Efemkin, a rider who in the past has finished in 10th place overall in the Tour de France and won a stage, a big mountain stage through the Pyrenees. The big boys now coming to the front. Horner just sitting there behind his teammate. Levi Leipheimer looking relaxed. So too the man on the right in the black and blue jersey there of Team Leopard Trek, Andy Schleck.
Yeah, Schleck not doing anything yet. He's not a marked man as much. He can't win this race now. He lost far too much time already. He's thinking of winning the stage and testing himself as the road gets steeper. So Horner and Leipheimer, he will allow to do whatever they want to do just now. He's thinking a little bit further up the road, I feel.
Yep, but look how many riders are left there, Phil. There's hardly anybody left in this group. Still 5 kilometers to go to the finish.
Now Van der Velde, who is really enjoying his Amgen Tour of California this year, as he told us earlier on this morning at the start, he's very happy to be racing amongst his great friends. He is surviving in this group, and he's sitting overall in this race in 4th place, the same position he finished in the Tour de France back in 2008. You can just see him popping into the far right of our picture there. And the other man there looks like Tommy Danielson.
Well, Christian van der Velde is definitely in there.
No, Tommy, I don't think Tommy Danielson is, Paul.
No, it's Christian van der Velde has got himself into that group. There's TJ Van Garderen, a bit caught out there because he wears the Rabobank leaders jersey in the under-23 competition, and he'll be climbing again a little bit further up in the overall standings.
5 kilometers to go to the summit here, and we've just got the yellow jersey. Nobody putting in an attack. I'm beginning to wonder who is going to be left to put in an attack here. These two riders just seem that little bit too strong, because Van der Velde, have you seen Sutherland anywhere, Paul? I don't think, is he there?
I had seen Sutherland just a few moments ago in the pale blue and white jersey of United Healthcare, but since then I haven't. But this is Vladimir Efemkin. He is a winner of a stage in the Tour de France of Francesco Bellotti. He's now about to get caught by the front end of the main field.
Well, he's 7 minutes 16 seconds behind the yellow jersey, so he's no threat, and if he's going to be caught, he certainly is no threat here.
In fact, Phil, just having a look at the group now, you can see Rory Sutherland has disappeared from this group. He was looking very comfortable for a long time, sitting in 4th or 5th position. In a bit of difficulty at the back, number 18, Christian van der Velde.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's got to hold on here, Paul, because if he hangs on, he's going to move up to 3rd place overall, because he was only 1 second behind Rory Sutherland overnight, and the 3rd place would be a very, very nice result for him. Carmen Sabello also lead in the team race in this competition this week, and have been the leaders all the way. Now, just look at the boys from Radio Shack. Well, we were wondering who was going to attack them, and I'm not sure anyone is capable of attacking these two riders, Chris Horner and Levi Leipheimer.
Well, Steve Morabito is in here for Team BMC. We will worry about the time that he lost on the opening stage of the Amgen Tour of California when he sat up. Well, it looks to me this is amazing to see the work that's being done on the front here by Matty Boucher.
Yeah, he is the man they've been using time and time again as the last man, the last sacrificial rider before they have to handle things for themselves. This is Francesco Bellotti, who was in the breakaway and is now being tailed away. Boucher will do everything until he can do no more, and then it'll be down to the top 2 men on the squad to just try and handle it to the rest of the way up. And frankly, the way they're riding right now, I can't see anybody doing anything to stop them.
Well, Vladimir Efemkin got himself a fairly good advantage here, Phil. He's looking at 25 seconds advantage over the front end of the main field. Now, nobody really needs to chase him down. He's so far down in the overall standings.
7 minutes. That's Alexander Paul. You're thinking of brother Vladimir. They used to ride everywhere together, but now we've only got one left. And he's actually doing the ride here, but 7 minutes and 16 seconds down. Efakim's in 30th place. He'll certainly pull back a lot of that with the way the riders are being sacrificed. But the boys from Radio Shack aren't directly chasing Efakim. He's only just up the road.
No, he certainly is. A great job of work being done here. Look at that. Looks like the shape of Tommy Danielson trying to ride himself back onto this group as well, just behind the motorbike, rocking and rolling there as the Pope has come down to bless the race this afternoon.
All right, well, he's a pretty good athlete too. It's a bit smart. Oh dear me, this is the one the riders wouldn't want to see right up here. The Grim Reaper on the climb of Mount Baldy today. Now, of the men overall, Horner, Leipheimer, Van der Velde are here. Sutherland and Danielson are not here. Now, I think TJ Van Garderen is here. We haven't got a final rundown on the list of riders, so we're working with you on this.
Well, anyway, you can see now this is TJ Van Garderen under a little bit of difficulty as well now, not able to take the wheel. Steve Morabito in the red jersey can see that, and he's going to try and ride around him. Andy Schleck now is in difficulty, number 51. I can't believe this is going to happen.
Well, Andy's got worse and worse, not better than better this week, I have to say. Van Garderen, who was wearing that red number as he passed through our camera as the most courageous rider in the time trial yesterday, when he moved up from 10th overall to 6th overall, is now losing contact on this relentless pressure here by Boucher, who's riding just for the two guys behind him, and he'll ride to the limit of his ability till he can do it no more. As he continues to push on, he could be riding himself into a place on the team for the Tour de France here.
Most certainly. Laurens ten Dam is the rider in there for Team Rabobank as well. He's got pretty fine form here as well coming into the Amgen Tour of California. But Andy Schleck, he is going to have to get a little bit more leg kilometers into his legs before he comes up to the Tour de France. But as a brave bike rider, he will not give up. He's not going to lay down arms, Andy Schleck, this afternoon, and he's coming back to the group.
This is the rider who is leading the pace here at the moment. Efakim setting a relentless pace. As I say, they're not directly chasing him. He won't affect them in the overall classification. He's 7 minutes behind and only a few seconds in front. But still, Horner looks very, very comfortable. So too does Levi Leipheimer. If they eliminate all of the riders on this climb, I wonder if Leipheimer will try to take his 38 seconds back off Horner and reverse the leadership in the team.
I doubt that that would happen, Phil. That's not the thing you do when you're riding on the same team, even if you have won the Amgen Tour of California on 3 separate occasions. I think he will do the teamwork. He'll look after the man who has the yellow jersey. It's his own teammate. But this is a phenomenal piece of work being done by the young American, 23 years of age, Matty Boucher. And I have to say, he really is turning out to be quite a revelation.
Well, we've seen the sumo wrestlers, and I think Efakim's about to pass the clean bottom. We're giving him full escort on the slopes of Mount Baldy today. As you can see, oh, he's looking a bit tired today. It's been a long run up here. And 5 of them are now clear, reduced to 3 Radio Shack riders as well. This is amazing.
Well, Horner looking around to see what sort of damage has been done, and he's got his 2 teammates alongside him. He must be feeling fairly confident with the way this race is beginning to unfold. They've already seen number 51, Andy Schleck, being dropped on one occasion and having to fight his way back into this race. And Laurens ten Dam is the other rider in there, the Rabobank rider in the orange jersey. Andy Schleck is going to have to pull himself inside out if he wants to get himself a victory on today's stage.
Well, he's thinking not just short-term in the Tour de California. He's thinking, I've got to find my legs for the upcoming Tour de France, and this is the race he's choosing to use as preparation. Laurens ten Dam was wildly spoken about as the man who was going to win on the Sierra Road. Well, he's in the group now, and he's looking very strong indeed. He's got no reason to do any of the pacemaking. He could profit by this. He's the rider far right with the beard. And ten Dam, it could be a real danger. He sits in 9th place overall, and he's only 2 minutes and 43 seconds behind Horner.
Just looking at the pressure being done by Boucher. It's only his 3rd year as a professional bike rider, Phil. He turned professional actually for the Kelly Benefit squad before being brought across to Team Radio Shack towards the end of last season.
Well, they knew a good one when they saw him, that is for sure. The camera's just behind. I've got a feeling they're closing in here. They're saying it's 10 seconds, and there they are here. So this brave move by Efakim may be coming to naught here. Just a short stage today by these boys' cycling standards, but such a hard stage indeed. And it looks as though Andy Schleck may have recovered That sudden rise in pace did break him, but it must have slowed just that little bit. He's got himself back here.
Well, that can happen on a climb, you know, because certain riders like certain gradients, and it may well have gone to a fairly steep part of the course there, and that's the part that Andy Schleck didn't like. He's a rider who likes the very, very long mountain passes, and he's also riding with a lot of courage and determination in this race here this afternoon. Although once again, looking round there, I think the gap's starting to open.
Curse, he's cracked again.
Well, that can happen when you're having a bad day. Now, Tommy Danielson's coming back.
And that's a little move by Tommy Danielson coming in here.
And Van Garderen and Steve Morabito.
Well, the return, it did slow a little bit, I think. Now, two big riders coming back here. Tommy Danielson's 5th overall. Van Garderen is 7th. They are separated by 32 seconds, those two riders, so they're going to shadow each other for a top finish in the race.
Well, just looking at Alexander Efemkin, he had a very good start to the year, Phil, with a win in the Tour of Turkey. But what's more important is what's going on behind here, because we are currently seeing a change in the podium stages, because Rory Sutherland, I think, will be slipping off his 3rd position, and he may well be replaced by Tommy Danielson, who was dropped in the early part of this climb, but is now trying to fight his way back in.
Yes, he's just off the tail. Our little group just riding off the tail. Efemkin has been caught now by the relentless pace. So for the first time since the 7-mile point, or 7-kilometer point, the riders have got the head of the race here, the leaders of the Amgen Tour. American flag flies high here at about 5,000 feet above the baseline in California. And a man who lives in California, and well, they both do these days, Chris Horner and Levi Leipheimer. Boucher now has done his job exceedingly well. Now he can take the rest of the day off.
But did you see him, Phil? He was almost stopped dead in the road. He tried so hard for his teammates. He pushed himself above and beyond the call of duty, and then all of a sudden he was almost doing a track stand on the slopes of Mount Baldy. Florence Tindam, he's gone backwards now as well with Efemkin, and look at the craze here of the fans. They've got 2 American riders at the top of the race on Mount Baldy, and what a teammate to have alongside you. Levi Leipheimer, on this occasion a 3-time champion of the Amgen Tour of California, is working and pacing Chris Horner.
There is no doubt now who the 2 best bike riders are in this year's Amgen Tour of California. We tipped Levi Leipheimer to win it for a 4th time out of a possible 6. Chris Horner, his teammate, he got the advantage on the Sierra Road, and now it's Leipheimer pacing the new leader towards the summit. 2 good friends, the yellow jersey, 2 riders on the same team. Andy Schleck is looking for a little bit of help here. Somebody needs to throw him a rope.
Well, he said a little bit boom, boom, and out go the lights on this one, because he's up against Team Radio Shack. Levi Leipheimer looks over his shoulder. Now he knows he's got the damage. He's done the damage, and it's all been, once again, you have to say, Phil, the sport of professional cycling is not an individual sport. They wouldn't be in this position right now if they hadn't had a strong team here at the Amgen Tour of California. They've used all of their riders one by one. Ben King, Haimar Zubeldia, Jason McCartney, Irizar, and Mate Boucher stayed with them for a long, long time until finally they've been released.
Absolutely right, and these are the 2 men they wanted projected at the end. It doesn't always work out, but my goodness me, it's worked out today. Little bit of an idea how steep these slopes are when you look down there.
Well, just the average speed at the moment that these 2 riders are riding at is around about 15 miles an hour because of the steepness of the slope. Chris Horner is concentrated onto the back wheel of Levi Leipheimer. I don't think Horner will challenge to get the victory at the top of Mount Baldy here, Phil. I think he will offer it to Levi Leipheimer, who's doing the pacemaking alongside him.
I agree. They'll finish the stage together as well, and the time gaps will remain the same going into the final stage. They're looking now for the 1-kilometer sign here. Horner got through his most difficult day in the time trial yesterday when he lost quite a little bit of time to the master time trialist in Levi Leipheimer. But he's back in his own playground now. He understands the mountains a lot better. And boy, when we talk to him at the end of the stage today, the way he describes how the day went, it's just like tracing the whole subject of bicycle racing in one breath. This is it's got to be the most demonstrative ride we've ever seen by a leader of the Tour of California over the years, because there's just nobody else in the race now.
Well, it's an ideal place to do that and to dominate, Phil, on the slopes of this massive big mountain, and they've put Andy Schleck into a serious amount of difficulty here this afternoon. I think he really was nurturing hopes of trying to win the bike race, especially up to the top of Mount Baldy, because he is a specialist. But I have to say the American riders in the Amgen Tour this year are completely motivated, and especially these two guys as well, because these two guys are head and shoulders above anybody else in the event here this afternoon. And Leipheimer, he's not even looked over his shoulder to say to Chris Horner, come on Chris, do a little bit of the pacemaking with me, because all he wants to do is drag his leader up to the finish line. And again, with doing this, they're extending their lead in the overall standings.
Yes, and let me remind you, we are watching cycle racing in the United States right now, not on the slopes of the Dolomites in Italy or on the Alps and Pyrenees of the Tour de France. And the people here are so enthusiastic, and they're cheering on two American riders who are in the States. We can now go on our Nissan electric drive to the finish here as we approach the Kenda, 1 kilometer to go.
There it is. That's really sweet to the eyes of these two riders, and it will be sweet to the eyes of every other bike rider once they get to the top of Mount Baldy, because tonight, Phil, when they cross the finish line, they will know that they've been in a bike race.
1,000 meters to the finish. We will then just below 2,000 meters at 6,400 feet. Above sea level. It's the dizzy height. It's a beautiful, beautiful day. The air is so clean to breathe in, and it is a beautiful, warm day. And two Americans, both living in the state of California, are stitching this race up for sure.
Well, you can see Levi Leipheimer, first position, just stamping out his authority. Horner looks completely relaxed in second position, but the strange difference in the two styles, because Horner has ridden the majority of the last couple of kilometers out of the saddle, using his handlebars to whip his bike from left to right to get as much power as he can into that machine, while for the majority of the ride it's been Levi Leipheimer sitting comfortably on his saddle. They're both out of the saddle now, Phil, because of the steepness of this gradient. It's a really steep part of the course here inside of the final kilometer. And by the way, just so that you know, this nickname for this part of the course is called the bowling alley, because when they get so much ice on this surface in the winter, they've seen so many cars go spinning down the road completely out of control.
Now we're looking down here at Alpe d'Huez. Oh no, sorry, we're not. We're looking down here off Mount Baldy as they twist their way up into what is the car park normally. You can't go any further up this mountain unless you take the cable car. And they've rearranged the car park. They've even scraped it and graded it so they can finish the race here. This is the ride behind here now, and it looks as though we've got Christian van der Velde on the left of our pictures, got the back wheel now of Andy Schleck. Van der Velde now, I think, will move up into third place overall tonight.
Well, that's a bit of a ding-dong battle going on there between Tommy Danielson and Christian van der Velde. Danielson fought his way back up to the group, obviously pushed himself too far into the red zone. He was overtaken then by his own teammate, Christian van der Velde, who's now managed to get himself up to the wheel of Andy Schleck. But there's no doubt about who are the first two riders on the road, Levi Leipheimer and Chris Horner.
Well, what a super domestique. The last man to bring the leader of the Tour up the hill is the man who's won it 3 times. Horner's just followed Levi Leipheimer. Leipheimer is just dragging him up to the finishing line. I don't think there'll be any reaction from Chris Horner. This is for Levi Leipheimer today, and tomorrow they'll still be split by just 38 seconds on the last day.
Good point you mentioned there, because finishing together, there are no time bonuses at the top of this mountaintop finish. A massive mountaintop finish. Leipheimer, like a true professional, looks over his shoulder to make sure that Chris Horner is still there in contact. These guys have once again prized the gap open between themselves and everybody else in this race. There are two riders chasing them at around about 40 seconds, and that, of course, is Andy Schleck and Christian van der Velde.
It's all done and dusted. They've destroyed the field today, and they're going to go across holding their hands in the air here. I'm sure Horner said then, this is for you, Levi. You're taking the win, and I'm taking the win too, because tomorrow I'm going to win the Tour of California. And that's the two-arm salute from Levi, the same from Chris Horner, a 1-2 for Radio Shack. An absolutely exemplary ride by these two riders, and the men they'll thank all of their teammates when they finish.
Well, that was a very impressive performance, not necessarily just by these two guys, Phil, but by the whole of Team Radio Shack. We're now back down here with Andy Schleck, number 51. He was dreaming of winning this massive mountain, this iconic mountain this afternoon, but he's fading a little bit down towards the top. Looks like that was Caruso of Liquigas Cannondale went straight by him, but Lawrence Tendam, I think, is going to survive for third place.
I think it was Vanderbilt who might have shot by him there, and he wants third place, and he might get it. This is the Lawrence Tendam, who's coming up with a terrific finish. So he's about 42 seconds down, but they'll be very, very pleased with that result. Now the battle, there's Caruso, Paul mentioned, in the white jersey, and I think that is Christian Vandervelde, I think, just in front. This is Tom Danielson, who slipped Christian Vandervelde on the way up. Danielson gets it. Very, very close here. Vandervelde needs to sprint, otherwise he won't be third overall tonight. He'll be in fourth place.
Well, he certainly does. Caruso putting a fine race in here. This is Steve Morabito. It's going to be the next rider coming into the line, and he's the rider in the red jersey from Team BMC.
Good sprint by Morabito. So he goes over in fifth place. Now this is the sprint for about seventh place, I think. Clock is counting on. There's not many seconds between Vandervelde and Tommy Danielson. It's advantage Vandervelde at the start of the day. And he may well find he slipped behind Tommy D here, but they're in. Time gap on the two winners, 1 minute 40.
Well, the time gap between Danielson and Christian Vandervelde at the start of the day was not very much at all. In fact, it was only 5 seconds. So Tommy Danielson will have overtaken Christian Vandervelde, and he will, I reckon, with my calculation, move up into third place in the overall standings.
Yep, so it looks like Tommy Danielson will do that, but it'll all come clear in a few moments when they work it all out. There is number 1 being worn by Levi Leipheimer, 3 times a winner. He was third last year in this event. He was disappointed with his time trial yesterday. He only finished second, and he's never lost on that circuit, and he really was disappointed. He felt those roads in Solvang were owned by him. Dave Zabriskie spoiled the party yesterday. Leipheimer has shown us just what a great mountain climber he is.
No, but Zabriskie, I think, deserved that win yesterday. We're looking now to see the shape of Rory Sutherland coming up. He will drop down in the overall standings, Phil, just away from his podium position there, but he'll still be up there, inside of the top 10.
Yes, he's lost about 2.5 minutes on the finish line there today, Rory Sutherland. There's the reward for all the hard work of pacing Chris Horner up the mountain pass today. And I'm absolutely certain Horner said, Levi, you're staying on the front till you've crossed that line.
Well, we're looking here at Levi Leipheimer, the victory salute there as he comes up to the finishing line. And that was a great 1-2 by those riders, but perfectly set up by all of their team.
Yes, so the field will continue to come in. 3 minutes have gone by now, so the oldest man left in the race is still the leader. It is amazing, isn't it? There you are, you see, that's where they touched hands. We've done it, man, is what they're saying to each other here. This is it. And Chris, what the gentleman he is here, just sits there. He does his own salute just to the left of our camera as a 1-2 for Radio Shack. No doubt who the best two riders are this year in the Amgen Tour for sure. Well, with the retirement, sadly, non-starting yesterday of Jens Voigt, I'm pretty sure Chris Horner is the oldest cyclist in this race. He'll be 40 towards the end of this year. And he's shown them all. He still ranks among the best in the world. Let's first of all then check out the stage results. Same time for the top 2 today. Tendam at 43. Tommy D has done himself good. He's a top 3 rider now with 61 seconds off the pace there. Morabito 1:21 in 5th place for the Team BMC Racing Team. Alexander Efrakim hung on to 6th place there despite the late bid for victory. TJ's getting better every day, 7th. Caruso we saw finish at 1:39. Andy Schleck only 9th in the end at 1:39. Looking further down here, Bellotti did a ride. He was in the original breakaway to get 12. Sutherland, 2:34 he lost on the winners. That's cost him big time. And Dan Martin in 15th place at 2:49. So there will be changes behind the top 2 overall, but the top 2 will stay exactly the same, split by 38 seconds. We'll take our break, and as always, we'll bring you the interviews and standings and the podiums. All that to follow he's a champion. See you in a moment. These beautiful views brought to you by California Travel and Tourism. We're at the top of Mount Baldy today, the end of Stage 7 of the Amgen Tour of California, presented by Nissan, and what a stage it was. An American 1-2 in the end. Let's have a look how it unfolded.
Well, at the start of the day, Chris Horner very comfortably in his yellow jersey, signing on at the start line in Claremont, but it was all going to be about what was unfolding out on the course, because it was a very difficult stage.
Levi Leipheimer 38 seconds behind his teammates at the start, and a breakaway forming after only 7 miles of 8 riders, including 2 riders on the dangerous Garmin-Cervelo team, Ryder Hejerdal and Andrew Talansky. First climb of the day, Glendora Road, 11 miles in, and Pat McCarthy was strengthening his hold now on the Californian Travel and Tourism King of the Mountains.
But it came down to the sprint, and that was in Glendora after 46 miles covered. Up to the line, there wasn't really a sprint at all. Francesco Bellotti, first man across there, just ahead of Ryder Hejerdal.
Next target of the day on the Glendora Mountain Road at 57 miles. McCarthy again was consolidating that lead even more. Once he got that, though, he decided to shut down and fall back towards the advancing peloton. 2 minutes behind at that point. But then we were on to the climb of Mount Baldy, Paul, and this was an absolute brute.
Well, as soon as they started, the aggression started immediately, and that 8-man leading group splintered very quickly indeed, with Ryder Hejerdal and George Hincapie very smartly back into the fold. But it was today the day of Team Radio Shack, and Matthew Boucher did the job of work for Horner and Leipheimer.
The 26-year-old on the left of the picture there, and the day the world is supposed to end, the Pope didn't agree because he was here on the slopes of Mount Baldy. One man, though, who was cracking was Andy Schleck. He wasn't holding anything back for today. He simply wasn't strong enough.
Well, Tommy Danielson was in difficulty, but he dragged himself back up to the main field. They caught Alexander Efimkin, and still Boucher decided, oh, I've had too much today.
But he'd done his job well. He destroyed the main field till virtually no one remained, and so it was left for 2 men who dominated on the Sierra Road a few days ago. Leipheimer in yellow, continuing to follow his teammate. Leipheimer there in red, continued to be followed by his teammate Chris Horner. The two now are proving themselves to be the best 2 riders in the Tour, and so it was to prove at the finish.
Yes, head and shoulders above everybody else in the competition, and no surprise at all that the victory was given to Levi Leipheimer by his teammate Chris Horner. But what they did do on the day, Phil, was they extended their advantage over everybody else in this bike race.
Yes, they finished in the same time with no time bonuses. They're still split by that 38 seconds, but they have consolidated themselves into the armchair at the top of the overall classification. Tonight it's Tommy Danielson who will move up into 3rd place, but a distance away as far as time is concerned. This is the stage result. The top 2 riders, both Americans who live in California, 43 seconds ahead. Lawrence Ten Dam of the Rabobank cycling team, 101 on Tommy D, 121 on Switzerland's Steve Marabito from BMC. Alexander Efimkin hung on for 6th place. TJ Van Garderen did a good ride to take 7th. Andy Schleck was 9th.
Well, looking at the notables a little bit further down, we've got Rory Sutherland in 13th place. He dropped down a fraction today. Charlie Wegelius of United Healthcare was alongside him to help out, and Dan Martin was 15th.
Let's go down to the podium. The yellow jersey, the last as leader of the Amgen Tour of California. If he's still on the podium tomorrow night, it'll be as the Tour winner.
Well, he's looking a little bit more comfortable at the top end of the leaderboard, and, you know, with his teammate Levi Leipheimer being his closest rival at 38 seconds, he must have a lot of confidence going into the final stage.
This is how it looks then for that final stage with the Michelob Ultra overall standings. Still the 38 seconds between the 2 on the same team, Radio Shack. Danielson is 2:45 back and up to 3rd. Van der Velde holds on to 4th at 3:18. TJ Van Garderen comes up 1 place to 5th at 3:23. Lawrence Ten Dam comes up to 6th at 3:26. Rory Sutherland goes from 3rd down to 4th and is at 4 minutes 12. Let's join Bob Roll now, who's talking to stage winner Levi Leipheimer.
Levi Leipheimer, you expressed a little bit of disappointment at yesterday's time trial stage. Today must go quite a ways in making up for that.
Yeah, I have to say I'm very happy, and what time trial yesterday? I totally forgot about that. I want to thank all the fans for coming out today. I mean, Mount Baldy, the course was spectacular. Glendora Mountain Road and then Mount Baldy with the switchbacks and all the fans. I mean, it felt like the Tour de France, and thank you to all those people that made the trek out today. It's a beautiful day, and And I hope this becomes a staple in the Amgen Tour California. I think it will become an iconic stage, and you know, it will be a great battle every year.
Absolutely. Garmin threw their rider Hejidal and Talansky in the breakaway, but Radio Shack was up to the task every step of the way today. Talk about your teammates a little bit, if you would.
You know, we had a great team meeting right in the bus beforehand. It was very calm. We said, listen, we got to relax. We'll stick together. We're not going to jump. We're just going to accelerate slowly. You know, just pay attention. You know, just zen. And everybody was perfect. There wasn't a lot of discussion. Things were clicking. We didn't make any mistakes, and there was a few. I mean, obviously Haimar, Markel, J-Mac, they've been solid all week, but today Ben King, I'm going to mention the young guys, Ben King and Matthew Boucher were extraordinary and great to see.
Yes, they were all standouts on Team Radio Shack today. As we look out across the top here at Mount Baldy, I think Levi Leipheimer is now preparing to come onto the podium. That will be his first win of the year, Paul.
Yes, first win of the year, but one that he will put down, I think, in his notebook at the end of his career as one that he really enjoyed and appreciated. But actually, it's his 6th win at the Amgen Tour of California over the years, having won 3 of them overall as well.
And he got himself $5,000 as well. Let's go back to Bob Roll, who is now with Chris Horner.
Chris, great day on the Amgen Tour of California. You marked this down long ago as something that you've been dreaming about, and you had fantastic lays, it looked like, throughout the day. But first of all, the team had to set it up, and they did a huge bit of work throughout today's race.
Yes, they did. They did an unbelievable job. There was no doubt about it. Trek Leopard helped out all day, but we had, oh my God, Ben King, Markel, J Mac. They were unbelievable. They did the bulk of the work. We had unbelievable ride by Demi. He did the last 10 miles all on his own before we started the sharp climb to the finish. Then the young neo-pro Boucher showed his stuff and strutted it all the way. He blew the field apart. He brought us down to just Levi and myself, and then Levi kicked it, and I was just hanging on the train.
Well, you asked the people of LA to come out and support the race. They were there, and you held up your end of the bargain with a great climb to the finish line.
They did a fantastic job, and that's what if you want big stage racing in the States, we need big spectatorship. Come out in full force. When you got a stage like this, you got to come out and support. If you want big stage racing, then that's how you get a Grand Tour.
Well, Garmin did what they planned to do, send a couple of guys that were pretty dangerous up in the breakaway, but it didn't seem like you guys panicked at all.
They did what they had to do. That was a stellar performance from all those guys. They had to lay it all on the line. That was the only option. It was in black and white, written down. You could see it coming. There was no surprise, but they still had to do the legs to pull it off, and they pulled a stellar ride. Talansky, rider of the future, you know, he did a great job. Ryder Hejinov was up there, and so hats off to Garmin Cervelo. They really put on a show today, and they gave a great ride, and they left a lot of suspense for watching on the TV there, that's for sure.
Well, it's not over until the crying of the other riders. Tomorrow, another fairly tough stage.
Absolutely, it's another tough stage. There's always a flat tire, bad accident, something like that can do it. That's why I'm glad we're sitting 1-2 right now, and we have room with Radio Shack. If something should happen to me, if something should happen to Levi, we got some spare room there to play with, but we got a lot of time between. So we have a very good, strong team, as you can tell. The sprinter team's jobs will be their job to do almost 100% of the work tomorrow. There's not a whole lot of threat of people on GC, so if they want to win the stage, it's going to have to be someone else doing the work.
Well, congratulations, and one more day. Best of luck.
Thanks, Bob.
Yes, with a day to go, boy, those two guys are in such a strong position now. They can actually enjoy the final stage tomorrow. It's time to show you all of the guys now who have got the leaders' jerseys on their shoulders, as they are all on stage now down below us here at Mount Baldy. There they are, joined now after the interview by Chris Horner. On the far right there, the Rabobank young rider TJ Van Gordon up to 5th. In that blue and yellow is Alexander Efferkeen in the breakaway from Cancer Award there. Well done to Alexander today. The green is Peter Sagan, and the red is Pat McCartney as King of the Mountains leader at the moment. Let's have a look at the map, Paul. Make a little bit better reading for the non-climbers, but not a lot.
Well, it certainly makes it a little bit easier than today's stage, but it's still a very difficult stage with the circuit around 1,000 Oaks. And it's on that circuit around there that we may well see some attacks, final attacks, trying to come and dislodge the 2 men at the top end of the overall standings. Balkan Canyon, that's a very tough part. Norwegian Grade, watch out for that King of the Mountains point there as well.
Yes, it's an undulating circuit today, a real good racing circuit, and the Radio Shack boys might sit back and let somebody else do all of the work if they want to take the stage win, just like Chris Horner has just told us. They are in a very strong position now as we go on little circuits around Thousand Oaks to end it. Don't forget, Stage 7 re-airs tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Time, and tomorrow live coverage of Stage 8 will begin at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. For a full schedule, log on to NBCSports.com. Thanks to Rafa, the official sportswear partner of the 2011 Amgen Tour of California. So the ride's got one more day now before they hit their final destiny, which will be the finish in Thousand Oaks. But today, it was the day of Levi Leipheimer and Chris Horner. They dominated it, so congratulations to them, and goodbye from everyone on top of Mount Baldy. Goodbye.